So me being the exceptional player that I am, I wanted to see if I could come up with one tip that's specific to Modern Warfare that would help people out in the early part of the game. I have several tips I could give you guys that are a little bit more simple and generalized, but I wanted to make this video a nice, short, concise, here's my number one tip for Modern Warfare. So I sat down with my notepad, and after jotting down some ideas, I came up with the number one tip I can give you guys at this early stage in Modern Warfare, because I don't think a lot of people are doing this very important thing. For the first time in Call of Duty history, we can change our classes mid-game. And this is a massive shift for the meta of Call of Duty. It just is. Now, before the game came out, I thought that this would be a bad thing, because preparation, in my opinion, is better than reaction. Encouraging people to think through all the different scenarios in the game and then make classes accordingly is way more interesting to me than being able to customize mid-match, but upon playing with it, I believe this decision suits Modern Warfare's gameplay really, really well, and I want you guys to start taking advantage of it. If somebody calls in a VTOL and it's parked over your spawn mowing you down, don't just die over and over again. After the first death by that streak, switch to cold-blooded, just as long as the VTOL's in the air, because even though you might have to give up something like EOD, quick fix, or overkill, that's preferable to dying over and over again, because some of the spawn areas in this game are in the open and you'll just die 6 times, and you better pray to God that the person that called in that VTOL isn't running kill chain on that class, because every time their VTOL shoots you, they're going to be building up their next streak. You might think this is terrible, VTOLs are going to be irrelevant when people start doing this. Yeah, sure, whatever, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. If you're losing gunfights or just not performing well in the match that you're in, start customizing your weapon. The weapon customization in this game is extensive, and the same 3 attachments aren't going to feel the same on 3 different guns. For instance, you might think you want to put on a recoil compensating attachment on every gun, but what if the recoil on the gun is very manageable? You might not need to do that, or maybe the recoil brings you up for a headshot. It's straight vertical. You don't need to use an underbarrel, so maybe put that point somewhere else. So find that out, and if you're losing gunfights, tweak things, make the gun feel different. Having trouble getting multi-kills, then put on extended mags, like 50-round mags, 65-round mags, whatever it might be, throw them on, try that out. Are you running out of ammo during your streak, but you don't want to trade EOD for scavenger because there's claymores everywhere? Understandable. Use the fully loaded weapon perk. Use the wounding ammunition that slows people down when they're shot. That might, work in your favor during your gunfights. Don't feel good up close? Try a different sight. Don't feel good at a distance? Try a different sight. Keep getting spotted? Throw on a suppressor. Don't commit to anything. You can edit it on the fly. If people keep holding themselves up in a building, don't just keep running in with the class you have. Optimize it. Throw on shrapnel, 2 frag grenades, and an RPG, and make that room a fucking firework display. It's simple, it's easy, it's effective. Somebody camping that big construction site on Ramazah, fucking throw on a snapshot grenade. That's what I'm talking about. If enemies are countering your decisions, then make new decisions. You might think, boom, I've been doing this since the beta, and you really want to make this your number one tip? Yes, I do. Because I don't think you should just do it when you're having a bad time. I think you should constantly be adapting your class until you find a place where you start getting more kills, because maybe claymores aren't as effective against one team that they'll be against another. Maybe you want frags instead of Simtexes. Maybe you want a hybrid optic instead of just a high zoom optic. If you're on ground war and you keep getting blown up by vehicles, use the Strela or the Pila. You don't have to live in misery. If you keep getting shot because you're on a UAV, make sure you are throwing on Ghost, because maybe kill chain isn't good for that match. See what I mean? If you're in the middle of an objective game mode and you realize you're playing the objective really hard, throw on the Point Man perk. That turns your kill streaks into score streaks. Tweak things until you find consistent success. It might be hard to get used to, and you might think, well, boom, I want to learn the class that I'm using. That's nice, but I think we should honestly be taking advantage of this. When I first heard about this, I was concerned about the premise because I thought it'd be abused. But now here I am, I'm telling you guys you need to abuse it. Don't be a coward. Use an RPG, a grenade launcher, and the shrapnel perk with 2 frag grenades, and make campers wish they joined a different lobby. Obviously, you have other classes that can be ready for other things, like this class is for my sniper rifle, this class is for my LMG, yada yada. But I personally think you should get more used to tweaking individual parts of one of your classes instead of switching to a different one. If you keep running into Claymore's throw-on spotter, you get it. This game has more variety and some more bullshit than we're used to because it's actually a little bit more complicated of a video game than something like Black Ops 4 was. Enemies have a lot of different ways to fuck with you, but luckily, you have a lot of different ways to adapt to their bullshit, and currently, and this is a first impression, all of this is, I believe the person that adapts this way will come out on top in more public matches than not. Just remember to keep your incremental changes incremental. You don't need to drastically change your gun, you don't need to drastically change everything because you died 3 times in a row, but maybe just a different grip. Maybe, change a perk here, maybe you need a different lethal or a different tactical. Adjust to the situation, don't just throw your hands up and start from scratch every time you have a bad couple of deaths. This is a short video, it's a simple video, and if you have any number 1 tips, give me more number 1 tips. I want like 50 number 1 tips in this comment section that people can read over. How are you building your rushing classes? How are you countering campers? How are you learning the maps? How are you honing your aim? Let me know down below, let everyone know down below, and we'll get the ball rolling on this. But my number 1 tip is use this new system to adapt to anything that can take you down, because now you can take down anything. See you when I see you. Goodbye.